So everybody, today we are going to discuss about language acquisition, but it is language acquisition we talk about definition and elaborations. So could you please mute, yes, your microphone? Okay. So right. So based on your screen, the slide is about 27 slide. It means that it will be very long discussion because in every slide I need to define and elaborate some more details about the terminologies, especially in language acquisitions. So in the beginning, I have already told you that language acquisitions, you may also find the other terminology or the other istilah. It is called as the first language acquisition or second language acquisition. Okay, so at this point, you are going to deal with two terminologies like pemulihan bahasa pertama dan pemulihan bahasa kedua. Okay. Wait a moment. Okay. Can you please, any one of you, mute for a moment while I am discussing about the materials on the slides? Okay. So thank you for your cooperation. It is the definition and elaborations that language acquisition is the process by which humans acquires mean memperoleh the capacity to perceive and comprehend language. In other words, all right, in other words, gain the ability to be aware of language and to understand it, as well as to produce and use words and sentences to communicate. So talking about the language acquisition, the point is the language itself. All right. Pemurnian bahasa apa? Berarti bahasa itu sendiri. Alright. And pemurnian bahasa yang kedua itu apa? Yaitu adalah words, kata-kata. And the third is sentences. So language acquisition here deals with something like pemurnian bahasa that is sequences by words and sentences. Alright. Mungkin kita bisa mengatakan language acquisition not for humans, tetapi not for animals, for example. Apakah mereka animal juga punya language acquisition? Of course they have. Alright. Anak kucing itu berbicara dengan induk kucingnya, mereka pemurian bahasa pertama, pemurian bahasanya seperti apa? We don't know because that is the animal language acquisitions. Right, different from human being language acquisition. Kita memperoleh bahasa when you imagine while you were baby born. Kemudian bahasa pertama yang you dapatkan dari orang tua you apa, right? Dari ayahmu, dari ibumu, atau dari orang sekitarnya. That is called as the language acquisitions. Okay, so language acquisitions, all right. The domain, all right, belongs to the three kind of topics. The first is language, and then the words, and then the sentences. Okay, that is language acquisition for humans, for us. And did you still remember when you have a baby and your baby is still a baby born, all right, while he or she was kids? Okay, so did you still remember what is the first words produced by your baby? Bu Indra, what is the first word your baby mentioned, your baby said?
Mama.
Okay, mama.
Mama.
Yes, mama is the first language produced by your baby, right? Mama. Right? And Hasan, Pak Hasan? Pak Hasan?
Okay, Mister. Usually speak ma'am.
All right, ma'am. All right, ma'am. Mama, ma'am, mimi. All right. So usually the word produced starting from bilabial. Bilabial means mah, right? Mama, ma'am, mimi. All right. So still questioning why mama is preceded rather than papa. All right. Lebih dulu mama daripada papa. Lebih dulu ma'am daripada mimi, or lebih dulu mimi daripada ma'am, and so on and so on. So those wordings are called as the language acquisition. So our kids, our baby acquired language from their surroundings. First of all, from his or her mother, all right, then father, then relatives, all right, then environments, then community, then society, and so on and so on. So what is meant by language? Language is a structured system of communication. You need to understand that communication, it doesn't mean say something like oral communication like this, while we do conversation, while we do dialogues, while we do speech and so on and so on. Not only that, but communication is also as well as the written communication. While you do something like writing a letter, giving announcement and so on and so on, it is part of the communication as well. The structure of the language is its grammar, and the three components are its vocabulary. So language consisting two components. The first component is grammar. The second component is vocabulary. So there is no language, even single language, without any vocabulary. So is not language, all right, because it has no meaning, right? It's not language, all right, because it has no meaning. It is not vocabulary. All right. So language should be consisted by two, grammar and vocabulary. And languages are the primary means of communications of humans. So it is a means of communication. We need to communicate to other people, use the language. All right. We use the language. We cannot communicate with other people without any language. Even the body language, it is part of the language. When we communicate with the deaf, all right, using our body gestures like this, our body language, so it is part of the language. But this language doesn't produce any grammar vocabulary, all right, and can be conveyed through speech, spoken language, also signs, writing. What is meant by signs? And here means that when you find, when you find traffic jams or traffic notice, there are so many signs. Okay, when you find pictures, when you sign image, it is part of the signs. All right, that the sign actually it is part of the language. It delivers a message. All right, it delivers a message. When you find a signs like mobile phone crossing, all right, in musola, in masjid, it means that you cannot play, you cannot open, you cannot communicate using your HP, using your mobile phones. All right, so sign is also part of the communications. And in linguistic, a word of spoken language, yeah, spoken language can be defined as the smallest sequence of the phonemes that can be uttered in isolation with the objective or practical meaning. So the means of spoken language itself, all right, it is laid, all right, by the smallest sequence of the phonemes. What is phoneme? Ya, sesuatu yang dioral, alright, sesuatu yang disampaikan, yang diucapkan dari spoken language. Dalam spoken language, berarti di sana ada phone, alright, ada phone, phoneme, okay, and practical meaning. Phone itu mempunyai makna, phone yang mempunyai makna, like well me mentioning, hi, hello, good. That is the phone, that practical the meanings. In many languages, words also corresponding to the sequence of graphemes, or grapheme means letter, right? Letters kalau sudah di dalam bentuk written in the standard written systems. That is why in every country we have different graphemes, like Japan, they have their own graphemes, right? Like Thailand, they have Tagalog graphemes, right? Like China, they have Mandarin graphemes. Like Indonesia, we have Indonesian graphemes. So we have different graphemes, but actually there is part of the writing system that are delimited by space wider than the normal inter-letter space or by graphical convention. What is meant by graphic conventions here is orang Indonesia bersepakat bahwa kita punya A, B, C, D, E sampai Z. Alright, orang Jepang juga mereka sudah bersepakat bahwa mereka punya grafim, punya tulisan yang katanya tidak alfabet tetapi perkata seperti itu. Oke, so orang Arab Timur Tengah juga mereka mempunyai alif, ba, ta, sa, ja, jim, ha, ho, dan seterusnya. Alright, so that is the graphing, and this graphing based on, alright, based on the graphical convention, kesepakatan bersama. Okay, so it is the elaboration of the spoken language. And what is meant by grammar? In linguistics, grammar, all right, a sentence, kalimat apa yang dimaksud dengan kalimat? A sentence is a linguistic expression, such as the English, all right. Example, the quick brown fox jumps upon the lazy dogs. So the quick brown fox jumps upon the lazy dog. In traditional grammar, it is typically defined as the string of the words that expresses a complete thought, or as a unit consisting of subject and predicate. What is the subject? The subject is the quick brown fox. Right? What is the predicate? Jumps over the lazy dogs. So dalam traditional grammar, alright, pendekatan traditional grammar kita pendekatannya menggunakan subject and predicate or subject and verbs. Alright. Nah, sentence dikatakan sentence itu kalau ada subject and verb, minimal subject and verb. Kata I, to itu enggak sentence, itu adalah word. Kata you, to itu juga enggak sentence. Kata go itu juga enggak sentence. Ya, itu hanya word. Oke. Tapi sentence itu adalah harus ada subject and verb. I go itu sudah menjadi sentence. You go itu sudah menjadi sentence. Kenapa? Karena syaratnya terpenuhi. Di sana ada subject and predicate. Di sana ada subject and verb. Alright. And language acquisition involves structures, rules, and representation. Pemberian bahasa pasti terdiri dari structures, ada rules di sana, and ada representations. And the capacity to use language successfully requires one to acquire a range of tools. Apa sih toolsnya dalam pemrograman bahasa? First is phonology. Alright, phonology. Kenapa phonology? Karena mengatakan mimik itu juga ada phone, ya ada phone. Tidak mimak, kenapa kok tidak mimak? Kenapa kok tidak mami? Kenapa tidak mama? Alright. Nah, that is the phonology. Kata mama itu juga ada unsur structure of phonology. Alright, mama. Kenapa kok meme? Karena si anak menirukan, alright, phonologically mereka menirukan orang tuanya. Sini sama mama, akhirnya dia menirukan. Samanya kalau kita punya anak kecil, alright, kemudian kita punya baby, kita kemudian tinggal di native country, kita tinggal di Amerika, kita di Australia, gitu kan, mereka juga akan melihat, akan mendengarkan secara phone, alright, secara phonology skillnya atau phonology competence-nya akan menirukan itu. That is the phonology. Alright, and the morphology is something like suprasegmental or segmentals. Oh, kalau dalam bahasa Inggris di sana ada beauty, kemudian beautifully, kemudian beautify, dan seterusnya. Itu berarti morphology. Oh, kata bedanya ini, kata sifatnya ini, kata kerjanya ini, kata adverbnya ini. That is the morphology. Alright, sama halnya kita kalau misalkan ketika kita menggunakan kata kalau dalam bahasa Jawa itu mangan, makan, dahar, dan seterusnya, That is part of the phonology. Okay, and then syntax is part of the grammar. Alright, kapan kalau dalam bahasa Inggris kapan kita menggunakan kata lampau dan kapan kita akan menggunakan future, kapan kita menggunakan kata present dan seterusnya. And an extensive vocabulary. Alright. Language can be vocalized in a speech or manual in sign. Vocabulary itu juga mengenal vocabulary and mengenal signs. Anak kecil kalau di TK mereka sudah diajari dengan signs. Ya. Contohnya apa? Mereka belajar berlalu lintas. Di sana ada signs lampu merah, lampu kuning, lampu hijau. Juga mereka belajar tentang dilarang parkir, dilarang merokok, dan sebagainya, dilarang buang sampah dan sebagainya. That is part of the sign. Alright, that's language acquisition juga anak-anak kita belajar tentang sign. Okay, so line structure, rules, and regulations. And what is phonology then? Phonology is a branch of linguistics that studies how language or dialect systematically organize their sounds. Ya, their sounds. Bunyinya itu seperti apa sih? That is the phonology. Alright, that is the phonology. Tadi saya kasihkan contoh. Anak kecil menyampaikan mother, father. Itu yang butuh waktu. Alright, kenapa? Karena mereka juga belajar. Okay, systematically organize their sounds. Bagaimana mengorganisasi, alright, pengucapan itu dengan tepat, dengan benar. And morphology is the study of words, how they are formed, yeah, and their relationship to other words in the same language. It analyzes the structure of the words and parts of the words, such as stems, root words, prefix, suffix. Alright, morphology talks about that. Morphology berbicara tentang misalkan kata dinas menjadi kedinasan, menjadi berdinas, kemudian kata pangan menjadi pangan, menjadi kepanganan, menjadi perpanganan, right? Kata pergi menjadi bepergian, dan seterusnya. That is talking about prefix and suffix. Morphology ranahnya ke sana, right? And when we have a child, right, usia TK, usia SD, mereka akan produce different words. Oke, mereka akan produce different words. And sometimes surprising us, loh, kamu dapat kata ini dari mana? Misalkan kata binatang ya. Siapa yang ngajari kan kita gitu. So, siapa yang ngajari ngomong kayak gini? Dia lupa, nggak tahu, ikut-ikutan teman. Kalau udah di SD, ada SD yang sorry to say, aneh nakal, ngomongnya saru-saru. Dia ikut-ikutan, padahal dia nggak tahu maknanya. Alright, that is pemberian bahasa yang keliru itu. Ya, makanya kalau dia pada environment atau komunitas yang salah, maka bahasa-bahasa yang salah itu tetap dia diserap. Alright, sometimes kita, lu kamu dapat kata asu misalkan, siapa yang ngajari ini? Nggak tahu gitu, dia lupa. Dia lalu bisa mengucapkan itu ya karena dia dengar dari teman-temannya dan seterusnya. Alright, so that is the language fusion. Pemberian bahasa dari baby, dari batita, dari balita itu akan mengalami perkembangan. Right. And then what is syntax? Syntax itu kalau dalam S1 dulu kita, it deals with the structure and grammar. Sesuatu yang structure and grammar itu kita bicara tentang syntax. Yeah. So based on the definition, syntax is the study of how words and morphemes combine to form largest units such as phrases, sentences, concerns. Syntax include the words order, grammatical relation. Syntax tidak jauh dari grammatical relation atau structural relation. Di sana ada historical sentence structure, like konstituennya mana, agreementnya mana, and so on and so on. If you still remember, when we talk about syntax, di sana kan ada satu kalimat misalkan I go to school in the morning, kemudian I go to school in the morning, mana yang subject, mana yang verb, kemudian di grounded lagi mana yang subject verb F word, di grounded lagi mana yang subject, mana yang verb, mana yang object, mana yang noun phrase, kemudian di breakdown lagi. Nah, that is syntax. Kalau you still remember syntax tree namanya, form syntax. Nah, itu apa sih? Itu adalah berbicara tentang grammatical relationship. But then language acquisition, anak-anak kita juga akan mendapatkan semantics juga pada pemrograman bahasanya. What is semantic? Semantic is the study of reference and meaning. Dia berbicara tentang meaning semantik itu. Alright, dia berbicara tentang meaning. Kalau ada temannya yang mengatakan, kamu tadi makan apa? Kemudian anak kita mengatakan, saya makan nasi. Oh, saya tadi makan batu, gitu, right? Saya makan batu. Grammatically itu betul ya. Saya makan batu, subject verb object itu betul gitu. Secara grammar, secara syntax betul. Tapi secara semantik, secara meaning itu salah. You get my point? Secara semantik itu adalah salah. Contoh lagi seperti ini. Saya minum air itu grammarnya betul, semantiknya betul. Nah, yang salah adalah saya minum misalkan ya, saya minum balok atau saya minum kecap misalkan gitu. Saya minum kecap. So grammar itu betul, secara syntax betul, tapi secara semantik salah. Alright, secara semantik salah. Kenapa? Karena semantik fokus on meaning. Fokus on meaning itulah kenapa. Alright, kita tidak bisa melulu pada grammar, tetapi juga pada semantik. Nah, semantik juga dibutuhkan pada language acquisition, pemerolehan bahasa. Oke. Then vocabulary. Apa sih yang dimaksud dengan vocabulary? Vocabulary is a set of familiar words with a person's language. Jadi a vocabulary usually develops with age. age baby itu vocabulary-nya sekitar ya 100, di bawah 100. Kemudian dia menginjak 1 tahun, 2 tahun, 3 tahun dan seterusnya. Maka vocabulary yang akan dia terima juga akan semakin banyak. Dan she will maintain mana vocabulary yang worse dan mana vocabulary yang benefit, mana vocabulary yang black, dark, mana vocabulary yang white. Seperti itu. Alright, so then by developing of the aids, right, they also can serve and they can use as the fundamental tools for communication and acquiring the knowledge. Kenapa communication and acquiring the knowledge? Pada usia sekolah, alright, anak-anak kita sudah bisa menyerap tuh mana vocabulary yang layak saya sampaikan untuk communication dan untuk belajar, dan mana vocabulary yang tidak layak gitu. Alright. Nah, by age mereka akan mempelajari itu. Maka sangat heran juga kalau seusia kita atau seusia lebih tua dari kita banyak yang masih mengeluarkan vocabulary yang worse atau vocabulary yang bigots, itu yang sangat disayangkan. Kenapa? Karena sebetulnya kita bisa mendevelop, alright, kita bisa mendevelop for our communication and acquiring the knowledge berdasarkan teori seperti itu, right? Berdasarkan teori seperti itu. But Pak, Mister, tapi kan prakteknya di luar sana banyak yang masih ada sebagian orang atau orang tua yang berkata kotor dan sebagainya. Nah, so I don't know, it is out of the context. So human language capacity, saya berbicara tentang human language capacity, artinya adalah kapasitas bahasa yang dipakai oleh manusia, alright, yang dipakai oleh manusia, is represented in the brains, alright, our brains. Even though human language capacity is finite, one can say and understand an infinite numbers of sentences, which is based on the syntactic principle called recursions. Kita akan tahu recursion itu apa sih. The evidence suggests that every individual has 3 recursive mechanisms that allow sentences to go interdeterminately. Apa sih mekanismenya? Mekanismenya itu relativizations, complementations, and coordinations. Alright. Nah, ternyata tidak mudah ngomong, sekedar ngomong pun ternyata tidak mudah, right? Kenapa? Karena kita ada recursive mechanism-nya. So what is meant by recursion? Ya, recursion is occurs, ya, recurs when a thing is defined in the terms, penggabungan itu recursion namanya. The terms of itself or its type. Recursion is used to a variety of discipline ranging from linguistic to logic. Jadi antara linguistik dan logik itu cannot be separated. Logic and linguistic juga cannot be separated, right? Orang yang berbicara itu butuh logik. Orang yang berbicara itu butuh logik. Misalkan begini, apa ya? Si Jono bisa berjalan di atas laut misalkan ya. Di atas air, bicara di atas air. So kalimat-kalimat tertentu, alright, ada yang logik, ada yang illogic, alright, ada yang logik dan illogic. Dan sebetulnya sentence, alright, sentence itu di luar itu. Sentence itu adalah ukurannya adalah apakah dia meaningful atau tidak, apakah dia grammatical atau tidak, alright. Nah, kemudian seperti yang kita dapatkan beberapa novel, misalkan dari novel Lord of the Ring, kalau kita lihat kalau kita baca novelnya, kemudian kalau kita take a movie-nya, melihat movie-nya, itu kan ada something illogic juga, alright. Nah, illogic itu adalah tentang scheme-nya, tetapi bukan tentang dialognya, alright. Nah, semua yang didialogkan dalam baik itu The Porter ataupun baik itu Lord of the Ring, that is the very logic and linguistic. It means that bahasa yang disampaikan oleh itu bisa dipahami. Gitu. Alright, that is recursion. Recursion itu penggabungan semua aspek dari mekanisme tadi. There are two main guiding principle in the first language acquisition. First language acquisition itu pemberian bahasa pertama. Alright, pemberian bahasa pertama. That is speech perceptions. Always precedes, selalu diawali oleh speech productions. Speech perception kita selalu diawali oleh speech production kita. So persepsi kita itu lebih mengawali daripada sebelum kita memproduce. Gitu. Jadi kita itu berpikir terlebih dahulu sebelum kita ngomong. Alright. Nah, biasanya kita tidak bisa ngomong kalau kita tidak berpikir terlebih dahulu. For example, when you are asked by your students, for example, Bapak ini jelasannya apa ya? Bapak apa yang dimaksud dengan tendensi dan sebagainya dan sebagainya. Nah, Rona berpikir kognitifnya dulu terlebih dahulu, baru kemudian ngomong. Kenapa? Karena ada speech perception-nya dulu. Ini apa yang ingin saya sampaikan. Alright, kemudian baru saya akan menyampaikan. Dari speech perception always precedes speech production. And the gradually evolving system by which a child learns a language is built up one step at a time, beginning with the distinction between individual phonemes. Okay. Nah, dia akan menjadi anak-anak kita itu peniru yang hebat, ya. Peniru yang hebat gitu. Alright, individual phoneme. Setiap individual phoneme. Mamanya bilang apa, ditiru. Papanya bilang apa, kakaknya bilang apa, ditiru. The dangerous thing is ketika papanya sama mamanya bertengkar gitu, anaknya dengar, nah itu bisa jadi ditiru juga. Alright, or ketika mengucapkan kata-kata kotor itu juga bisa ditiru juga. Or otherwise kalau kita mengucapkan sering kata-kata bagus itu great, good job, thank you, sorry, gitu-gitu mereka juga akan meniru seperti itu. Alright, itulah kenapa dinamakan child learns language is built up on step at the time, ya, beginning the distinction between the individual phonemes. Alright. And what is meant by speech perception? Speech perception is the process by which the sounds of the language are heard, yang didengar. Alright. Kemudian yang diinterpretasikan dan yang dipahami. That is speech perception. Oh iya, yang tentang ini gitu, right? Then the study of speech perception is closely linked to the field of phonology and phonetics in language. Maybe when you studied in S1, kamu pernah saudara mendapatkan mata kuliah ini, phonology, phonetics, and cognitive psychology and perception in psychology. So speech perception itu penggabungan ya daripada beberapa ilmu sebetulnya. Baik itu dari ilmu bahasa, phonology, phonetic, linguistik, kognitif, maupun dari ilmu psikologi. Alright, that is speech perception. The process by which the sound of the language are yang didengar, yang diinterpretasikan, dan yang dipahami. What is meant by speech production? Speech production is the process by which thoughts are translated into speech. By process by which thoughts, apa yang kita pikirkan, kemudian kita ucapkan, nah itu adalah produksi bahasa. Alright, dari speech production. Itulah kenapa speech perception itu lebih dahulu, alright, lebih dahulu dibangun daripada kemudian speech productions. Phonology means, alright, ya phonology kita belajar tentang sounds, that is phonology, alright, is a unit of sounds that can be distinguished one word from another in particular language, that is the phoneme. And linguists, beberapa ahli bahasa menyampaikan who are interested in the child language acquisition, pemerolehan bahasa anak, have for many years question how language is acquired, bagaimana sih bahasa itu diperoleh. Alright, dan Lins et al. States the question of how these structures are acquired then is more properly understood as the question of how a learner takes the surface from the input and convert them into abstract linguistic rules and representations. Ada sebuah penelitian, for example, yang anak Indonesia ini, ya, anak Indonesia, kemudian orang tua asing, right? Anak Indonesia, orang tuanya orang tua asing. So the mother is Indonesian woman and the father is a native man. Nah, di rumah, right, si anak ini akan berbicara bahasa Inggris kepada father, akan bicara bahasa Indonesia kepada mother. Alright, so it is bilingual. Dia bisa berbicara bahasa Indonesia kepada mother, dia juga bisa bahasa Inggris kepada fathernya. Ketika dimomong oleh si mother, alright, dia menjadi speech perception sama speech productionnya adalah purely dari bahasa Inggris dari mother. Alright, mothernya berbicara sama dia bahasa Indonesia dan anaknya juga menganggapnya bahasa Indonesia. Moreover, sang ayah, sang papa ini sama si anak juga berbahasa Inggris karena nggak bisa bahasa Indonesia. So otherwise si anak juga mengikuti komunikasi dengan bahasa Inggris dengan sang ayahnya. Alright. Nah, it is the completions. Alright, it is the completion. Si anak ini menerima pemurnian bahasanya dari si ibu, dari yang dia dengar, dari speech perception, dari yang dia dengar, dari yang dia kemudian yang ibunya ucapkan, alright. Kemudian dari sources yang lain, dari televisi maybe, dari majalah maybe, dari teman-teman yang berbahasa Indonesia juga maybe, right? Otherwise dia mendapatkan input dari ayahnya juga, karena ayahnya sering ngomong bahasa Inggris, kemudian dia ikutin, alright, oh sit itu artinya ini, it artinya ini, go itu artinya ini, and so on and so on. Even dia nggak bicara bahasa Indonesia kepada ayahnya, tapi bicara bahasa Inggris. I think by some other resources, mungkin ayahnya punya resources, bulletin atau majalah atau apapun itu yang berbahasa Inggris. Alright, so it is deals with the speech perception and speech production. Apakah itu bisa? Of course bisa. Alright. Kenapa? Karena tergantung bahasa perolehannya dia. Alright. Nah ini kan tergantung structure yang dia bangun. Structure yang dia bangun apa? Ya dari linguistic rules, perolehan bahasa yang dia terima dari ayah dan kemudian representation. Apa yang dimaksud representation? Yang dimaksud representation here is bahwa ayahnya itu merepresentasikan dari bahasa Inggrisnya dan ibunya merepresentasikan dari bahasa Indonesia yang dia bangun, yang dia peroleh. Alright. Then language acquisition usually refers to the language acquisition. Ya, when we talk about language acquisition, memang selalu merefer pada first language acquisition. Kalau saya menyampaikan tadi kepada Bu Indra atau Pak Hasan, right? Apa bahasa yang formulan bahasa yang terima oleh si baby kita? Oh mimi, oh maem, oh mama. Ya, it means that is the first language acquisition. Bahasa pertamanya dia, bahasa pertamanya baby kita itu. Alright, maem, mimi, mama, misalkan itu. Alright, so Pak, apakah beda antara language acquisition dengan first language acquisition? Ya, first language acquisition it focusing specifically on bahasa pertamanya. Makanya nanti ada namanya second language acquisition. Nah, second language acquisition itu bahasa pertamanya adalah mama, mimi. Mungkin second language acquisition-nya bagi si anak itu nanti adalah mungkin bisa jadi bahasa Inggris atau bahasa Arab atau bahasa Jawa, atau first language-nya adalah bahasa Jawa karena di rumah menggunakan bahasa Kromo, bahasa Jawa. Bisa jadi second language khususnya adalah bahasa Indonesia. Alright. Otherwise kalau yang negara-negara lain itu first language-nya adalah bahasa Melayu, misalkan Malaysia ya, bahasa Melayu, and second language-nya adalah bahasa Inggris karena bahasa Inggrisnya adalah sebagai bahasa komunikasi atau bahasa formalnya di sana, something like that. So first language acquisition with studies in infants itu para bayi ya, para bayi acquisition of their native language, whether that be spoken language or sign language, yang seringnya diucapkan atau didesainkan, ditandakan. Thus, it can also refer to bilingual first language acquisition. Nah, bilingual first language acquisition namanya BVLA, which refers to an infant's simultaneously acquisition of two languages langsung. Jadi kalau first language itu adalah anak-anak kita yang mempelajari hanya satu bahasa. Ya, misalkan bahasa Indonesia, yaitu first language acquisition-nya berarti bahasa Indonesia. Tapi ada yang bayi juga langsung menerima dua bahasa. Alright. Bayi yang menerima dua bahasa seperti yang tadi saya sampaikan, ayahnya orang Inggris, ayahnya orang Inggris, ibunya orang Indonesia. Nah, dia at the time being dia bisa memperoleh dua bahasa sekaligus, itu dinamakan BVLA. Alright, itu dinamakan BVLA. Then the first language native tongue, ini first language atau native tongue atau native language atau mother language, father language, parent tongue dan sebagainya itu sama. Alright, that is the other terminologies. Itu istilah yang lain aja. Atau arterial language itu ya sama aja, atau L1 language 1 itu sama aja dengan first language. Is a language or dialects that a person has been exposed to from birth, ya, dari lahir, or within the critical periods. Alright, jadi sejak lahir dia ngomongnya apa, yaitu namanya mother tongue. Itu namanya native tongue. Native tongue kita misalkan ya bisa jadi Indonesia, or bisa jadi Japanese, or bisa jadi traditional language atau Balinese, atau Sumatranese, atau Lampungese, dan seterusnya. Bisa jadi itu. Alright, in some countries the term native language atau mother tongue refers to the language or dialects of one ethnic group rather than one first language. Bisa jadi kalau di Australia, kalau di Amerika misalkan ya, di sana ada first language-nya misalkan Black English atau apa gitu. Kalau di Afrika namanya ada apa namanya African English, selain juga ada bahasa Inggris yang lain gitu. Nah, masing-masing negara mereka punya first language. Ya, kalau di Thailand misalkan di sana ada Tagalog first language. Kalau di Cina, di sana ada Chinatown, ada Mandarin. Ternyata bahasa Cina itu bagi juga menjadi beberapa. Alright, nah first language-nya adalah ketika dia lahir tuh dia ngomongnya apa, gitu. Caranya gitu. Alright, nah, anak kecil bisa jadi mereka mendapatkan banyak vocabulary. It depends on the inputs and resources. So the more we give the inputs and resources, the more we can get, the more the baby can get, alright, the vocabularies. Ya, itulah kenapa language acquisition is very important for our kids. Bapak lagi ngajar, please silent. Itu, alright. That's why I do agree for student of SMP, alright, kelas 8, 9, 10 itu di drill vocabularies. The more vocabularies they have, the more confidence they belongs. Alright, so trust me, mereka banyak vocabulary itu semakin bagus, alright, semakin bagus. The more vocabulary, they will be more fluent in speaking. The more vocabulary, they will be more fluent in writing. Karena mereka akan stuck kalau vocabulary-nya lupa, kemudian mau nulis apa juga nggak tahu. Moreover, mereka juga akan bingung mau ngomong apa, vocabulary-nya juga nggak tahu, alright? Nah, anak itu kan terkadang mau ngomong, sebenarnya dia berani, tetapi mau ngomongnya tuh bingung, apa ini maksudnya apa, gitu. Nah, vocabulary itu bagian yang terpenting yang harus kita berikan lebih kepada anak didik kita. Penting itu. This distinguished from a second language acquisition. Kalau tadi first language acquisition, alright, versus second language acquisition, which deals with the acquisition in both children and adults of additional languages. Dan ya, second itu namanya additional languages. In addition to speech, reading, writing, and language with entirely different script compounds the complexities of the true foreign language literacy. Language acquisition is one of the sequential human traits. So, ketika kita bicara second language acquisition berarti mereka sudah dalam tataran children's, alright. Kenapa children's ini additional languages? Nah, ketika anak-anak kita SD misalkan terus ada pelajaran bahasa Inggris, nah bahasa Inggris it will be the second, bisa jadi second language acquisition. Ya, kalau di Malaysia, kalau di Indonesia sebagai foreign language acquisition, right? Foreign language acquisition. Oke. Kalau anak-anak kita mendapatkan bahasa Arab, ya, bahasa Arab itu juga sebagai foreign language acquisition. Bahasa keduanya dia misalkan seperti itu. Alright. Nah, itu dinamakan seperti itu atau SLA. Second language acquisition atau disingkat dengan SLA sometimes called second language learning atau SLL, second language learning. Otherwise referred to L2 atau dinamakan L2 acquisition. Apa sih yang dimaksud L2 acquisition? Is the process by which people learns a second language. Pokoknya belajar bahasa yang kedua lah. So language acquisition is also the scientific discipline devoted to studying the process. Jadi second language itu by process, usually it is the formal process. Di sekolah biasanya second language acquisition yang terjadi di sekolah gitu. Alright. Then literacy in its broader sense of describe. Alright. Literacy itu something to do, alright, with reading and something to do with writing. Reading and writing, that is the literacy. Okay. That's all that I can say for today. If there are any more questions, I would like to answer. Any more, some things that you need to clarify or ask some elaborations? Silakan. Ada pertanyaan? Silakan, ada pertanyaan?
Ya, oke, Mister. Okay, for first language ya. Kalau kita belajar first language, justru kalau the second language itu lebih sulit, difficult for the second language. Kira-kira seperti itu, Mister.
A second language is difficult, more difficult rather than first language. Is it your comment?
Okay, yes.
Oh, all right. So I do agree with your statement and with your critical thinkings that foreign or first language. First language is more difficult rather than
Foreign language.
yeah, foreign language is difficult, is more difficult rather than second language. Foreign language, it could be taken by our children's, our kids when they study in school formally, all right? When they study in SD, they get bahasa Inggris. When they study in SD, they get bahasa Arab and so on and so on. Of course, pembelian bahasanya lebih sulit daripada second language. But second language, it could be bahasa Indonesia as the second language. While anak kita lahir, kemudian kita ngomong dengan anak kita berbahasa Jawa, Nduk, maem mimi maem mimi bubu and so on and so on. That is the first language, right? The second language is bahasa Indonesia. Ayo kita belajar dan seterusnya. Nah, while we do speaking bahasa Indonesia, it means that bahasa Indonesia sebagai bahasa kedua, bahasa Jawanya sebagai first language, kemudian bahasa Inggrisnya sebagai second atau foreign language, alright? So it is logically proper, all right, that foreign language is difficult other than second language. Thank you, Hasan. Is there any more?
Taufik, sir.
Who's speaking? Who is speaking?
Taufik Nugroho.
Okay, Taufik, please.
Okay. What about the family, in the urban family? The parent want to speak Indonesia, and the other, the children speak in the first language. We know first Japanese, there are ngoko, and then kromo, and then kromo inggil. There are three steps in the Japanese language. And then at school, we try to learn to teach them with the Indonesia language. And then in the SMP junior high school, we teach them English as not second language, like you said that this is to be the foreign language. How to manage the student to understand about it. Even you said that father can speak English, with mother can speak Indonesia. This is how to manage for the Japanese people. For example, I try to make my son to speak soft Japanese language, but outside they speak in the ngoko, I mean kasar gitu. What is the situation and the phenomenon in the language acquisition? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Taufik. The problem is we cannot avoid such condition, right? Because our kids is surrounded by so many environments. The environments could be formal environments and informal environments. Something like a formal community and informal community, formal society and informal society. While your kids are studying at schools, he or she will have a different community, right? The community is those the same kids with the different background of the family, all right? In schools, your kid will be saying bahasa Indonesia or even bahasa Inggris, all right? It depends on the teacher. When the English teacher speak English to the students, all right, the student will try to speak as well as English. That is the good practice actually, all right. But otherwise, while the kid, all right, speak bahasa Indonesia to their classmates, they will be okay because the communicators is the same levels, all right, kid and kids. Otherwise, while the kids go home, all right, and the kids seeing and gathering with the family, and the family stick with the Japanese language, all right, with the Kromo Unggul language. So I guess the kids will be reliant with this kind of condition. The kids will be trying to speak as well as Kromo Alus. So and the point is, we need to maintain, we need to know that the kid is proper in such environments and community. So while the kids is gathering with us, all right, and we want to fix bahasa Kromo to him or to her, we have to stick with this. We have to fix with this. We cannot speak other language except Kromo Alus, for example. All right. When our kids want to be able to speak English, so the teacher at schools, English teacher, they should be stick, all right, speaking English all the times with the students. Then the students and our kids will be practice, all right, speaking English. Otherwise, their kids will be also speak bahasa Indonesians, all right, with their classmates, and it is to avoid speaking dirty, all right, that will be also need to be maintained. So our kids will be speak three languages: first language, a second language, and foreign language simultaneously. That is my answer topic.
Okay, can we say that our children, by the time, can get the way to get their language?
Of course, of course,
Okay.
because they are living in the various environments. All right, the environments can be various. Teman-teman di sekolah is different from teman-teman di kampung. All right, di kampung lingkungannya, as well as teman-teman di kampung lingkungannya is different from his brother and sister, her brother and sister. All right, otherwise orang tua, orang-orang adults, orang-orang dewasa yang di sekolah is different from orang dewasa yang ada di rumah. All right, so they will get so many inputs, so many resources. All right, and they will be having so many vocabularies. That's why in my explanations I mentioned that by this basic perception they will have the basic speaking production. All right, so they will input speech perception first. Oh ini bagus, oh ini yang diucapkan ini bagus, oh ini nggak bagus, oh ini maknanya ini, oh ini. Baru kemudian mereka speech production. Is that clear? Topic?
Okay, sir. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Very good question, topic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Is there anyone more questions?
Yes, sir.
Who is
I
speaking?
want to ask something, sir.
Who is speaking?
Anissa Maudi.
Oh, Anissa Modi.
Anissa, sir.
Oh, Anissa, okay.
Okay, I want to ask, in the beginning of the presentation, said that language capacity is represented in the brain, like that. Sometimes we found that many children or people just for a quiet person, but they have a good brain, cerdas, like that. It's with how the explanation about that, like is the explanation about language capacity itu interpretasinya terhadap pengertian brainnya itu pintar atau bodoh itu sangat berpengaruh atau tidak gitu. Jadi memang kan kapasitas banyak itu menunjukkan brainnya seperti apa, lalu kapasitas sedikitnya seperti apa, karena itu kan kadang tidak ya bersifat dinamis, jadi tidak semua mengalami hal yang sama. Oh, ada yang bisa dibilang cerewet, ternyata cerdas. Ada yang ternyata diam, ternyata di diamnya itu cerdas. Padahal di bawah tadi ada penjelasan juga kalau children imitation the parents, it means that they is individual yang hebat. Tadi ada penjelasan seperti itu. How about that, Mr.?
Okay, thank you, Anissa Modi. Very critical questions. The things that we have to remember is language, it just means that spoken language. Written language is also language, right? Maybe what you mean is the silent on the introvert students or the introvert kids, all right? So such this type, the kids doesn't produce more words, all right? Doesn't produce more words, but actually this kid is very talented in written. It could be that the kid doesn't speak a lot, but the kid written a lot. right? Written a lot. So when the kids want to say, it means that they need something like language capacity in the mind. All right. It will be the same equals when the kids want to write, the kid needs the main capacity, the language capacity in the mind, in the brains. All right. So actually, what the theory mentioned here is the language capacity in the brain is supporting in the processing of the language. I mean, language is not only in the spoken language, but also in the written language. I have the experience like this. Um, I have a friend of mine. All right, he is not talkative, but he is very productive in making poetry, in making short
Mhm.
story, and so on and so on. It means that the language capacity in his brain is a lot.
It's great.
All right, it's a lot.
Yes.
So it doesn't means that anak yang cerewet itu kemudian vocabulary-nya banyak, yes, karena dia cerewet, alright, but this cerewet
Mhm.
is equals with the written cerewet. So the way dia menulis puisi, dia menulis story, it is part of the written cerewet. It means that vocabulary-nya juga sama nih, ya, vocabulary-nya sama tapi penuangannya yang berbeda. You get my point?
Language skill-nya tertata atau tidaknya.
Yeah. Alright.
Oke.
Okay.
Oke, clear, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Tadi siapa yang angkat tangan nih? Wiwin.
Yeah, Mr. Thank you. As Indonesian people, especially in Japanese people, ourselves and our students also has 3 languages. First language is Japanese. The second is Bahasa. The third is foreign language. All of students and all of us have 3 languages. But the problem is they still have the difficulties when they face the soal ujian bahasa Jawa, bahasa Indonesia. It's still very difficult for them to walaupun itu, although it is the first and the second language, yeah, the original or the native speaker of Japanese and Indonesian, but it is also the problem to solve the exercises. As it also happened in British or American, the problem for the kids and the students, the people living there, sir, can you tell me about it? Thank you.
Thank you, Wiwin. Very critical. Sangat kritis, Bu Wiwin. Thank you for the questions. My answer is like this. We speak Japanese only for communications. So Japanese not for the context. But Japanese in school, it is Japanese for the context. When you speak Japanese with our kids, we speak for communication, for the needs of communication. For example, kita menyuruh makan, ayo ndang mangan, Bapak meh dahar, ayo ndang turu, Bapak meh sare. That is for need for communication. But Japanese at school, it is Japanese for the context. Anak sapi jenenge, apa ya anak sapi jenenge, anak kebo jenenge, anak cicak jenenge, alright. Kemudian pangku, hono coroko, and so on and so on. We do not use any hono coroko with our kids, alright. Even our mbah juga nggak ngajarkan hono coroko for us. Okay, so Japanese in our family is for communication different from Japanese for school. It is Japanese for context. That's why our kids when having such a test, Japanese language test or quiz, all right, they will feel difficult. It is the same as my sisters, as my daughters, all right. My 2 daughters, kalau bahasa Jawa wah sulitnya minta ampun. Orang tuanya juga sudah give up, nggak mampu, karena kalau bahasa Jawa itu ada anak-anak binatang gitu, terus ada istilah-istilah apa gitu dan lain-lain. Nah, kita yang seusia gini we don't understand it all, alright? Kenapa? Karena Japanese-nya adalah for the communication in our family. Even though Japanese sebagai mother tongue atau first language, alright? So comparing to bahasa Inggris, alright? Comparing to bahasa Inggris, The different thing is in English, all right, our students get English while they have already equipped by two languages, bahasa Jawa dan bahasa Inggris, all right. So bahasa Jawa have the structure, all right. Bahasa Indonesia have its structure. Ditambah bahasa Inggris juga has its structure. Bahasa Jawa punya vocabulary sendiri, bahasa Indonesia punya vocabulary sendiri, kemudian bahasa Inggris juga punya vocabulary sendiri, all right. So I guess it is fair, ya fair saja kalau mereka kesulitan ngomong bahasa Inggris, apalagi menggarap grammar, right? Menggarap grammar, menggarap strukturnya, menggarap sintaksnya. Kenapa? Karena vocab aja mereka belum banyak, gitu, right? Seperti anak kita dulu masih kecil, mamah, mamah kan kita nggak menyalahkan, right? Mamah, maam sama maam, mamah kan kita nggak menyalahkan. Mimi, mama sama mamah Mimi kan kita nggak pernah menyalahkan. But then with its English, ada bilang drink I, anak disalahkan gitu. Harusnya apa? I drink, I am drinking, disalahkan tergantung konteksnya. Nah kita tuh terkadang tuh lebih banyak menyalahkan daripada memberikan apresiasi kepada our kids gitu. Can you imagine this? Jadi salah itu sebetulnya nggak masalah. Kenapa? Karena mereka vocabulary-nya juga masih belum seberapa gitu. Makanya vocabulary dulu dibanyakan, kemudian mereka punya kemampuan kepercayaan diri gitu. Ya salah nggak apa-apa. Alright, that is part of the process gitu. Coba kalau anak kita salah ketika mau minta susu, mama susu kan sama aja gitu maknanya, right? Tapi kita nggak pernah nyalahkan gitu. Nah, we try to open our minds that it is the process of learning that the most important thing is they dare to speak, they dare to write, they dare to ask, they dare to study. That is my answer really.
Okay, thank you, sir. So the main point is how to get more and more vocabulary to our students. It is very important, and then how they can say, speak up, and don't be afraid to make mistake. It is the point, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Imin. Any more?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, Yani, okay, please.
Thank you for the time. Now, sir, students' problem nowadays, they often use the Google Translation or other application when they learn English. And this is very, difficult to make them memorize the vocabulary in English. How to solve this problem, sir? Because when they write, okay, they understand the meaning, but when they have to say in spoken language, of course they will get difficulties because lack of vocabularies. They use Google Translate or sometimes the electronic dictionary to make them understand the written language. How to overcome this problem, sir?
Okay, thank you, Yani. Very critical questions. I did my research, and the research is about blended learning use for schools. It is the impact of online learning. One of the negative things in online learning is we cannot detect, all right, we cannot maintain, and we cannot order our students to use any applications. Even when we give any quiz, they have already equipped with the applications, whether the application is Google Terjemahan, Brainly, and so on, right? So they will get this application so easy. And talking about the Google Terjemahan, Bu Yeni, actually they may use this Google Terjemahan, but not for the sentence, all right? So Google Terjemahan can be used for the words, again for the words. Kalau digunakan untuk sentence, kalimat, apalagi paragraf, they will lack of the meaning. Dia akan salah tuh maknanya. Misalkan keponakan perempuan aja namanya cousin sister, ya keponakan perempuan aja namanya cousin sister. Kita nggak ada istilah itu cousin sister dan sebagainya dan sebagainya. So and the second is anak-anak kita itu karena pembelajaran daring gini kemudian mereka bisa mengakses any kind of tools tanpa deteksi dari kita, alright, tanpa deteksi dari kita. So the most important thing is kita harus lebih banyak memberikan practice vocabulary yang mereka tahu, yang mereka hafal, kemudian mereka aplikasikan. Ya, kalau mereka sudah mengaplikasikan vocabulary yang kita berikan, itu bagian dari experience. Nah, experiencing itu adalah C6. Experiencing itu adalah C6. Dengan C6 ini mereka akan memfacilitation. Alright, mereka akan selalu ingat terus menerus gitu. So, bagaimana memberikan vocabulary ini? Ini vocabulary by context. Alright, vocabulary by context. Kalau kita ingin memberikan vocabulary agar tertanam kepada mereka, pada materi apa? Misalnya describing a people, ya, describing a person. Nah, describing a person itu banyak vocabulary yang kita bisa observe, yang bisa kita plan, yang kita bisa tanamkan tentang beberapa adjektif, ya, bahwa kurus, gemuk, right, kecil, besar, tinggi, pendek, dan seterusnya, alright. Kemudian kata noun di sana, ada kata adjektif, ada kata adverb, dan seterusnya. Itu harus di drill, alright. Itu harus di drill. Kenapa? Karena mereka akan menemukan konteks dan teks tentang describe, tentang description. Mereka anyhow pasti akan mendeskripsikan entah itu sesuatu, entah itu seseorang dalam bahasa Inggris, alright. Dan kata-kata yang mereka gunakan kemudian mereka alami sendiri menjadi experiencing mereka sendiri, itu akan lebih mudah mereka terapkan, lebih selalu mereka ingat daripada hanya kata-kata yang diingat-ingat saja gitu. Jadi gunakan atau berikan vocabulary yang mereka butuhkan sekeliling mereka terlebih dahulu, Bu Yeni. Gitu Bu Yeni.
Berarti it's okay to teach them vocabulary by drilling ya Pak ya. Kalau dulu kan katanya nggak ya, bukannya nggak boleh tapi lebih cenderung learn vocabs on in the text gitu loh Pak. Dulu kan gitu. Jadi kita akhirnya jadi kembali tetap boleh drilling secara ini ya untuk mengajarkan vocab.
Ya, kita adalah produk dari drilling ya Bu. Kita kan produk dari drilling. Jadi I do believe drilling itu juga masih bisa dipakai untuk salah satu teknik pengajaran vocabulary. Dan kalau kita dulu ngaji di kiai-kiai itu kan kita juga di drill toh. Alif fathah A, alif fathah U, alif dhamma U, A, I, U gitu. Kan gitu-gitu kan, alif ba ayu terus di drill gitu kan sampai kita alif fathah A, ba fathah kasroh aku agak lupa. Nah gitu kita bibu kan gitu ya enggak. Nah drill yang sekarang kan modelnya Iqra, itu juga bagian dari drill kan. Iqra 1, Iqra 2, Iqra 3 itu juga drill. Nah bahasa Inggris juga sudah sama. So pembelajaran bahasa itu drilling vocabulary itu sangat penting. Ya, vocabulary. Ya, vocabulary. You're welcome, Bu Yen. Anyone else? If not, I would like to close this session. All right. Before closing, I would like to announce you that do not forget to visit our Spada. So you may take your attendance over there. Alright, attendance-nya ada di sana. Boleh diisi attendance yang atas sama yang di bawah juga. Oke. Materinya juga sudah ada di sana. Alright, so visit anytime. Ketemu lagi.
Sir?
Yes.
We can fulfill the Dwi, sir.
Oh, Pak Dwi.
We cannot fulfill the attendance because the time is 1 until 3 p.m.
Oh, sorry. Iya. Saya pikir tadi jam 1. So, oke. Nanti saya rubah atau ya nanti setelah ini saya rubah, alright. Jamnya nanti saya rubah, terus bisa presensi di situ.
Dan attendance-nya hanya ada 1, sir. Attendance 2. Yang attendance 1 kok I cannot find it.
Oke. Attendance 1 di topik 1, attendance 2 di topik 2. Can you find it?
In topik 1 cuma file yang dikirim saja, Sir.
Ya.
Oh,
Jadi
alright.
tidak ada attendance list-nya.
Nggak ada attendance. Betul
Oh, belum
Mbak.
ada. Oke. Berarti di mata kuliah yang lain saya agak agak rancu. Oke. So by this time, alright, after the session, you may visit.
Oke.
Thank you Pak
Okay,
Di
thank you,
for
sir.
announcing me.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Sampai jumpa lagi, Denny dan
Thank you.
semuanya. Assalamualaikum, selamat sore, selamat berpuasa.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum
Ya,
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, sir. See you.
Oke.
Selamat berpuasa yang bagi yang berpuasa.